According to all known laws of aviation, there is no way that a bee should be able to fly. Its wings are too small to get its fat little body off the ground. The bee, of course, flies anyway, because bees don't care what humans think is impossible.
Why are the bees important?
Well, bees are important because they pollinate.
They pollinate flowers.
They pollinate the flowers.
They pollinate all the flowers.
They pollinate food.
They pollinate plants.
According to Greenpeace International, the bee plays a vital role in our ecosystems. Their constant pollination, along with many other insects, allows for 1/3 of our food to be produced. The economic value of bees worldwide is suggested to be about $295 billion each year. Comparative to hand pollination, it pays to save the bees. Albert Einstein warned us about 100 years ago that if the bee disappeared off the surface of the globe, then man would only have 4 years of life left. No more bees, no more pollination, no more plants, no more animals, no more man. Have you heard about the declining population of the bees?
Yeah, I've heard about it.
Yes, I have. It's not as prevalent anymore.
Yeah, the whole Save the Bees movement.
Yeah, I have. It's been everywhere on social media.
The disappearance of the bees began in the late 1990s when beekeepers suddenly noticed extremely high levels of decline in honeybee colonies. In the United States alone, honeybees and other pollinators ate approximately $19 billion worth of agricultural crops. In order to fully comprehend the importance of the bees, we needed to understand what pollination is. We asked a local environmental science teacher on her knowledge of the subject.
Pollination. Oh, that's when you have other organisms, usually insects, that will take the pollen of one plant and transfer that to another flower, the pollen from one flower, transfer it to another flower, which is a form of fertilization. So in the end, you end up with seeds, which are going to carry on the genetic.
Why are the bees important?
Because they are one of the biggest pollinators that we have. There are things like butterflies, and there are moths, and some of these kinds of things. Hummingbirds even would act as a pollinator, but bees, by and large, are the largest group of organisms that are pollinators. Without those organisms, you're not going to have fruit. And it is a bigger problem here in the South. You have a longer season. You are concerned with termites and red ants and these types of things. So a lot of people, and the roaches, the big old water bugs, cockroaches, and people were concerned there's more of an issue with that. So trying to find different ways to keep them out of the house, that would not include an insecticide, because that's the biggest issue that we have is insecticides. Plus, there was a downturn of bees, not just for the insecticides, it was like a double whammy, because they had a virus that went through, was carried from one bee population to the next, caused that population to drastically drop to where it won't be able to be like the Alaskan cod market that we've talked about with overfishing. It's the same scenario, is that the population gets too small, it cannot recover. So finding other ways to deter insects. Don't kill things such as spiders if you don't have to. Spiders eat the other insects. You could put up bat boxes in your backyards or in your fences that would encourage bats to come, because they're going to help deter your insect population. Things like ladybugs and praying mantises and those types of beneficial biological control organisms instead of anything other than insecticide. That should be a last resort.
If pollination from bees suddenly stopped, humans would no longer be able to have access to foods such as broccoli, pumpkins, watermelons, apples, and many others. These are only a few of the many crops that would be gone if bees were ceased. As well as many fruits and vegetables, honey will also be eliminated altogether. We decided to contact a local honey beekeeper, Sarah Myers, from the Pleasant Bee. What is your knowledge of the exponential decrease in the bee population?
Currently, the bee population is fairly stable, and it has been so for the past 2 decades, but that doesn't mean we aren't losing honeybees. The worldwide, or at least in the U.S. population, has been between about 2.5 to 2.7 plus million bees. Each year, the top issues that beekeepers are facing are starvation and parasites. So beekeepers have to think about where they're keeping their hives. Is it an urban setting on a rooftop garden? Is it in an agricultural field? Is it in my backyard? What does it look like within a 3 to 5 mile radius of that location? Because that's the average radius that honeybees will forage from. If you don't have adequate resources in that area, you're going to have to feed them. And most beekeepers do have to feed pretty much year-round, and especially in the summertime when it's very hot and when plants are dry, they're not producing nectar or resources for the bees. So in the springtime, when there's lots blooming, you don't have to feed hardly as much as you would in the summertime. Parasites, since about the late 1980s, 1987 specifically for the U.S., beekeepers worldwide have been experiencing a parasite called varroa mite. It's sort of like a tick. Think of it as a tick because it is a parasite and it has to live on a host. The host for the varroa mite is a honeybee, and it sucks the fat bodies and hymphalin from honeybees and transmit diseases.
I know you said that the bee population is stable right now, but let's say it starts to decline again in the next coming years. What will happen to farmers and crops and other resources?
Mm-hmm. And when I say stable, I mean that, we're in a relative, 2.5 to 2.7, 2.8 million. That's fairly consistent, right? It's not like we're losing half the bees in the United States or half the bees worldwide. So that's what I mean by stable. Beekeepers are losing their hives during the wintertime or during the summertime for various reasons. So there's a national survey you may want to look up, the Bee Informed Partnership, and they survey beekeepers as voluntary just within the U.S. They take all the individual responses and they look at the average for the year. So last year's average was around 28. Anything above 10 to 15 is considered above average. So historically, 10 to 15% loss rate during spring or winter is normal, just based on normal things that will be happening in the hive or vegetation loss or weather. That's considered normal.
By the time the majority of the students in this classroom were about 6 or 7 years old, DreamWorks Animation was warning viewers about the potential destruction that would erupt if the bees were to disappear. The Bee Movie was released in 2007 and followed the life of Barry the bee, who had just graduated college. Barry comes in contact with a human and decides to end the production of honey. Once all of the honey had stopped being sold and produced, extreme effects were present.
I don't understand why they're not happy. We have so much now. I thought their lives would be better. They're doing nothing. It's amazing. Honey really changes people.
You don't have any idea what's going on, do you?
What did you want to show me?
This.
Oh. What happened here?
That is not the half of it.
Oh no. Oh my. They're all wilting.
Doesn't look very good, does it?
No.
And whose fault do you think that is?
I'm gonna guess bees.
Bees?
Specifically me. I guess I didn't think that bees not needing to make honey would affect all these other things.
It's not just flowers, fruits, vegetables. They all need bees.
Well, that's our whole SAT test right there.
So you take away the produce, that affects the entire animal kingdom, and then, of course...
The human species? Oh. So if there's no more pollination, it could all just go south here, couldn't it?
The Bee Movie is clearly exaggerated, but without bees, the main pollinators in our ecosystem, there will be immeasurable effects on our environment. Everything, flowers, fruits, vegetables, are pollinated by bees, and any detrimental effects to these plants will result in detrimental effects to all animals in our food chain, including humans. The bees are stable for now, thanks to beekeepers, but the bees' well-being is of utter importance to our society, and we should keep a keen eye on the population of bees from now on. So how can you, as a senior in high school, help prevent a decrease in the bees' population? Here are 6 easy ways for any individual to help save the bees
and allow for these vital creatures to thrive. Plant bee-friendly plants, flowers, and foods. Avoid the use of chemicals and pesticides in your gardens. Support local sustainable farmers. Buy local and raw honey. Make a bee hotel. And encourage local garden stores to not sell bee-killing pesticides and chemicals.
Save the bees!
Save the bees.